Have you ever wished for something so fiercely that you whispered it into the night, believing the universe would hear you? And what if it did, but twisted? There is an old saying in the arcane world: every spell is a mirror. What you cast outward returns, not only in form, but in essence. A spell, whether uttered in sacred ritual or quietly spoken in thought, is more than a command. It is a thread woven into the living tapestry of reality. But like any thread, if pulled carelessly, it can unravel more than you intended. Magicians, mystics, and seekers throughout the ages have spoken in hushed tones about the backfire, that eerie phenomenon where a spell seems to rebound, distort, or turn against its caster. Some dismiss it as superstition. Others, especially those who have felt its sting, know better. They've seen prosperity spells lead to sudden loss, love charms become chains of obsession, and hexes collapse into illness, paranoia, or worse. But what really happens when a spell backfires? Is it karma in disguise? A flaw in technique? Or is there something deeper, something encoded into the very mechanics of energy and intention? In this video, we will descend into the hidden chambers of esoteric knowledge to uncover the truth behind spellcraft gone awry. We will explore what happens when magical intent is misdirected, misaligned, or fueled by unclean motives. We'll touch ancient teachings, unpack the spiritual laws at play, and reveal why even the most well-meaning practitioner must tread carefully in the world of ritual magic. This is not just about avoiding mistakes. It's about understanding the unseen machinery of consciousness and learning how to harness it without setting it ablaze. By the end of this journey, you'll not only know what causes a spell to backfire, you'll understand how to wield your power with clarity, precision, and reverence. Welcome to the shadow side of magic. Welcome to the truth behind the mirror. Even the gods obey the laws of balance. Ancient Hermetic proverb. From the earliest civilizations, spell work has been viewed not merely as manipulation of unseen forces, but as participation in a sacred dialogue with the fabric of reality. In ancient Egypt, priests of Heka, the god of magic, spoke sacred words with extreme precision, believing that even a small deviation could twist divine intention into chaos. The Greeks, too, held a deep reverence for logos, the creative word, and considered misuse of speech, especially in ritual, a crime not just against man but against cosmic harmony. This idea is echoed in Hermeticism, where the principle of cause and effect, the fifth of the 7 Hermetic laws, reminds us that all actions, thoughts, and intentions ripple outward and return in kind. The law of correspondence, as above, so below, reinforces this, illustrating how the energies we summon mirror back through the same channel they were released. Thus, a spell is never just about what you do. It's about why and how you do it. In the ancient grimoires of the Middle Ages, texts like the Key of Solomon or the Picatrix, ritual instructions were often shrouded in layers of protection, purification, and alignment. The warning was implicit. Failure to ground your intention, purify your motive, or properly anchor your energy could result in the invocation turning back upon the practitioner. This was not seen as punishment, but as a kind of spiritual physics, a natural consequence of imbalance in the energetic equation. The Kabbalistic tree of life also offers profound insight into this matter. In its Sephirothic structure, unchecked force, Gevura, without mercy, Chesed, leads to destruction. Conversely, excessive mercy without structure collapses into chaos. A spell drawn from one side of the tree, without balancing its counterpart, often leads to energetic recoil. It's not the spell going wrong. It's the universe restoring balance. Even the shamans of the Andes and Siberia whisper similar truths. Intention is a spirit, and spirits must be honored. If ignored, they grow wild. If controlled too tightly, they rebel. Spells, too, are living currents. If they sense ego, desperation, or vengeance in the hand that casts them, they can distort, amplify, or even fracture. returning their energy in forms the caster never imagined. What all these traditions share is the recognition that spellcraft is not a loophole in natural law. It is a form of deep communion with it. A spell is a request, not a command. A dialogue, not a demand. And like any conversation with the divine, it requires humility, clarity, and alignment. Understanding this context transforms the fear of backfiring into something deeper, a reverence for the law of return. The esoteric traditions did not teach spell work as mere technique. They taught it as a sacred responsibility. Every word, gesture, and visualization is an act of co-creation with the cosmos. So when we ask what happens when a spell backfires, the real question is, what imbalance did the spell expose? And what lesson is being returned to the caster? What actually causes the spell to backfire? Not chance, not punishment, but misalignment. A spell is more than symbolic action. It is an energetic blueprint, an intention encoded with thought, emotion, and willpower, then sent into the universal field to interact with unseen forces. When constructed properly, this blueprint flows seamlessly, aligning with the higher laws of vibration, cause, and resonance. But when a spell backfires, it is a clear sign that the structure has collapsed in one of three fundamental places: intention, purity, or direction. 1. The distorted intention. Imagine a sculptor crafting a statue from marble. If their hand trembles or their vision is clouded, the sculpture reflects that confusion. The same is true for spell work. A backfiring spell often begins with a fragmented or unconscious desire, one that conflicts with deeper truths. Take, for instance, someone casting a love spell, not to deepen authentic connection, but to control or possess another. On the surface, the spell may succeed. The person comes closer, emotions intensify, but beneath it, the energetic frequency is coercive, not loving. And the universal field, being intelligent, does not support domination cloaked in affection. What follows is decay, obsession, disconnection, or even reversal, where the caster becomes emotionally dependent on their target. This is not punishment, it is energetic justice. The spell fulfilled the request, but also revealed the true frequency of the desire. 2. Purity of energy. In traditional magical schools, initiates were taught purification rituals, not just for tradition, but because the vessel matters. The human body is the conductor, the spell the current. If the conductor is filled with unresolved rage, jealousy, fear, or insecurity, that energy corrupts the current. Imagine pouring pure water into a rusty pipe. The water emerges tainted. Likewise, a spell cast from a clouded vessel is inherently distorted. This is why ancient magicians would fast, bathe, chant, or meditate for days before performing any significant ritual. They were not simply preparing the space, they were tuning the self. Because if the spell is a seed, the soul is the soil, and no seed grows in poisoned earth. When spells backfire due to impurity, they often result in strange echoes. Psychic fatigue, mood swings, recurring nightmares, or the manifestation of the caster's inner shadows into the outer world. These are not curses, they are reflections. 3. Misdirected force. Even a clear intention and pure energy can go astray if the force is not properly directed. Magic is like archery. The arrow must be released with focus, but also alignment to the target. A spell that ignores timing, natural cycles, astrological alignments, or the presence of other interfering energies may rebound, not out of malice, but because it had nowhere to land. This is often the case when people attempt banishing or binding spells without proper grounding. They may cast out a negative entity or emotion, but without sealing the energetic breach, the space becomes a vacuum. And as nature abhors a vacuum, something else, often worse, fills the gap. The backfire here is the return of that same energy, now mutated, now seeking a weak point in the caster's aura. In all three of these causes, distorted intention, impure energy, misdirected force, we see the same pattern. Imbalance invites correction. The universe does not tolerate energetic confusion. It seeks harmony always. A spell that backfires is simply the cosmos holding up a mirror and asking, "Is this truly what you wanted? Is this aligned with truth? Do you understand what you've unleashed?" Understanding this is not meant to frighten, but to empower. Because once you learn the invisible mechanics of energy, you can cast with confidence, clarity, and compassion. And this is where we go deeper. When a spell backfires, it doesn't end there. It begins a karmic ripple, one that can spiral through emotions, relationships, even lifetimes. To understand this, we must examine a deeper truth. Magic does not operate in isolation. It moves within a greater spiritual ecology, the echo chamber of intention. Every action, every spell is a vibration sent into the field. And all vibrations return, not as they were sent, but amplified by the layers they travel through. A backfired spell, then, is not a singular event. It is the first note of an echo that travels through the subtle planes, interacting with your karma, your unconscious mind, and the energetic web connecting all beings. Think of it like striking a tuning fork in a glass cathedral. The sound vibrates outward, but if the frequency is unstable, it can create a shattering resonance, breaking windows, cracking mirrors, distorting everything in range. The same principle applies with energy. A miscast spell, especially one driven by ego or haste, disrupts the vibrational harmony of the caster's field. And that disruption attracts matching vibrations. Chaos begets chaos. This is why seasoned practitioners speak of energetic residue. The consequences of a backfired spell can linger, manifesting as bad luck, emotional turbulence, chronic fatigue, or a sudden increase in spiritual interference. It's not just bad karma. It's disorder seeking resolution, the law of reflection. In Hermetic philosophy, particularly the teachings of the Emerald Tablet, we learn, as above, so below, as within, so without. A backfiring spell often reveals the spellcaster to themselves. If the magic returns twisted or harmful, it is because the intention was not whole. If it attracts envy, betrayal, or illness, it is because that frequency already lived within. The spell merely pulled it forward. In this way, spellcraft becomes a kind of spiritual MRI, revealing hidden fractures in the energetic body. What backfires is not the spell itself, but the unresolved elements it activated. In some cases, these are karmic patterns, cycles that have been repeating across incarnations. The spell becomes a trigger, bringing that karmic pattern to the surface faster than normal. To the untrained eye, this looks like a punishment. To the mystic, it is an invitation to evolve. Interference from unseen forces. Another often overlooked factor in backfired spells is spiritual interference. When a practitioner works with spirits, deities, or elemental forces without proper respect or alignment, those forces may respond unpredictably or withdraw their protection entirely. In folk traditions across Africa, South America, and Eastern Europe, magical misfires are often blamed not just on the caster's mistake, but on offended spirits or misused offerings. Magic in these traditions is not just mechanics, it is relationship. If a spell calls upon fire, but the caster is in a state of emotional turmoil, fire may not respond with illumination, but with destruction. If a spirit is summoned without full consent, the energy may arrive, but not serve. Thus, the backfire becomes a spiritual backlash, a moment where the hidden world asserts its boundaries. Energy seeks resolution. Finally, it's important to understand that energy, especially focused magical energy, does not dissipate on its own. It either fulfills its purpose or it returns to its source. If a spell is blocked, poorly constructed, or countered by another force, that energy will spiral back, often to the point of origin, the caster. This is why the ancients warned, do not cast unless you are willing to receive. Not because magic is dangerous, because it is alive, and all life seeks expression. In truth, no spell truly backfires. It simply reveals that the energy was misguided, premature, or misunderstood. And that revelation, while painful, can become the most powerful initiation of all. Because the magician who learns from the echo becomes the magician who commands it. So what can you do if a spell backfires, or better yet, to prevent it from happening at all? Magic is not just about candles and incantations. It's about precision, purity, and alignment. And when wielded with wisdom, it becomes not just a tool, but a sacred responsibility. Here are the key practices and techniques to apply this knowledge in your own spiritual path. 1. Purify before you cast. The very first step in spellcraft is clearing your own field. A spell cast from a chaotic or wounded state is like a message written on broken glass. It warps both sender and receiver. Before any magical work, meditate until the mind is quiet. Cleanse the space and your aura with smoke, sage, palo santo, frankincense. Sit in stillness and ask, is this spell coming from clarity or control? If any emotion like anger, desperation, or revenge is present, wait, transmute, then act. Spells cast with clarity rarely backfire. They flow cleanly because they emerge from balance. 2. Work with sacred boundaries. One of the most common causes of magical backlash is interfering with another's will, even if you believe your intention is good. Always ask, is the spell empowering me or trying to control another? Avoid love spells that aim to manipulate or prosperity spells that try to take instead of attract. Instead, use invocation, not imposition. Call in energies to support your path, not override someone else's. Instead of, make this person love me, try, let me radiate the love I seek. Instead of, get me this job, try, align me with my highest vocation. When the will is aligned with the soul, there is no need for force and no room for backfire. 3. Use the mirror test. Before casting any spell, ask yourself, would I accept this energy returning to me exactly as I'm sending it? This is the mirror test, a safeguard taught in many magical traditions. If the answer is yes, proceed with confidence. If no, the energy needs refinement. This cultivates magical maturity. It shifts the question from, will this work? To, is this worth becoming? 4. Closing and containing energy. A spell left open is like a door left ajar in a storm. It invites all kinds of energies to enter. Always close your rituals. Offer gratitude to the forces invoked. Visualize the energy sealing and grounding into the earth or your own field. Say aloud or silently, it is done. The circle is closed. This simple practice contains the energy and prevents it from spiraling beyond your intention. 5. If a spell has already backfired. If you sense that a spell you've cast is returning in a negative form, don't panic. Do not fight it. Face it. Then act with consciousness. First, cleanse. Take a ritual bath with salt, herbs like rosemary or hyssop, and set the intention to release all residual energy. Then journal honestly. What was the real intention behind your spell? What lesson is it reflecting? Finally, perform a reversal ritual. Light a white candle. Say, I release all unintended consequences. I reclaim my energy. I restore balance. Visualize the energy spiraling inward, then grounding peacefully into the earth. Sometimes, this simple act of acknowledgement is enough to stop the echo and reset your field. 6. The greatest protection is purity. You don't need layers of shields, wards, and banishings if your magic is clean. When you cast from the heart with wisdom, alignment, and love, you are protected by the very laws of the cosmos. The magician who walks in balance has little to fear, because the universe, in its vast intelligence, favors alignment. favors truth. So what truly happens when a spell backfires? It's not punishment, it's revelation. A backfired spell is a mirror, showing us where our intentions were misaligned, our emotions unresolved, or our power misused. It is the soul's way of saying, look again, refine, mature, become worthy of the forces you are calling upon. Magic is not just technique, it is responsibility. It is communion, and when entered with reverence, the path of the magician becomes a path of awakening. Every word you speak, every symbol you draw, every thought you charge with intention, weaves itself into the energetic tapestry of your life. Nothing is lost, nothing is wasted. Even the backfires teach. Let that sink in. Even your mistakes in magic are lessons encoded by the soul. You are not here to manipulate reality. You are here to co-create with it. And to do that, your inner world must be as precise and sacred as your outer rituals. So before you next reach for that candle, that sigil, or that incantation, pause. Ask not only will this spell work, but also, is this the kind of magician I want to become? Because in the end, all magic is self-magic. The circles you draw are drawn within. The energies you summon first rise from your own field, and every intention, pure or polluted, will return, shaped by the currents you yourself set in motion. Let your magic be clean. Let your will be clear. Let your craft be sacred. And should a spell ever backfire, may you see in it not misfortune, but a doorway into the deeper mysteries of who you truly are. Sparkles, if this video has stirred something in you, share it, reflect on it, and walk forward with greater clarity. The path of the esoteric is not always safe, but it is always sacred. Until next time, walk with intention and cast with soul.